Hello and welcome once again for the final time to the How Long to Beat podcast, at least in its current incarnation. So, for one more time, I am Rick. I'm not going to be able to do it after today. You've got to let me have this. So, for the last time, this is me, Rick, and you're also hearing the voice of Alex.
Hello.
And the voice of Paula.
Hello.
And it's not going to be total change, but we'll come to that when we get to the topic, which is just going to be the past, present, and future of the pod, and what we're all reminiscing on, stroke going to be getting up to moving forward. Before then, we have got a full house of completions. We've got some retirements. We have got games we've been playing. We've got a lot of Playdate content. I'm going to front load that. There's no point burying the lead. My Playdate, which I ordered just under 2 years ago, finally arrived just in time for the last episode. And if you think I haven't been rinsing it, you can think again. And the last ever edition with this cast of How Long to Beat The Game. And it wouldn't be the last ever episode if we didn't totally flub that up.
Sounded okay on my end. And remember, that's the only end that matters.
And that counts. No, that's very, very true. Let's talk completions. Paula, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so in the last Steam sale, I purchased the DLC or Chapter 2 of Cubescape Paradox, and I finished that just in the nick of time. I think it was yesterday. And oh my god, this is trippy. It's Rusty Lake at its finest. Just let me tell you that. So, without going too much of a spoiler, you're like looking to the present, the past, and the future, and as always, the game is cryptic as fuck, and the puzzles are very out there. The logic is very out there. We also have a visit to from one of the characters from, I don't remember which Rusty Lake game or Cube Paradox game it was, but the man in a suit, which I hate with all my heart. And that wasn't fun. I was scared of my mind because that fucking money always like gives me the creeps. But I survived all that, solved all the puzzles, and finally finished. I think this is the last single player Cubescape game up to date, because the other one is a 2-player game, which I forgot the Past Within, I think was.
That's the one.
Yeah. And I need to convince someone to play that game with me, which is not going to happen in a while. So that is the end of the Rusty Lake series for me, until further notice. And also, I love having this thing like my backlog diary like always at hand, because oh my god, I couldn't like just remember like all the stuff I had to do, so I just noted it down.
It is phenomenal. There's highlighting for days.
Yeah,
I wish I was that level of organized.
So yeah, that's Cubescape Paradox. If you like all the other Cubescape games, you are gonna be thrilled to see a lot of references to those games. Even like to Harvest Moon, which was kind of unexpected. And yeah, Alex.
I beat some Playdate stuff. I technically beat this one. This one's like sort of a roguelite, to be honest. Because like, I don't know. It's a very cool, it's a really cool concept in this. Like, essentially, you're like managing an inventory while like an auto battler happens. And I thought it was very fun. It doesn't end is the only thing. It just kind of happens. And so I think I beat it because I got to a level that continuously repeated, and I was like, I think I've won. And I just sort of stopped. I was like, all right, I'm done. It's very fun. It's kind of a one and doneer. Like, this is actually one that I think could be like genuinely could be a larger experience. Like, I really think you could flesh this out into a bigger thing. because the core concept is quite enjoyable. It's just very bare bones, which is fine. A lot of Playdate games are, right? They're kind of
Mhm.
like proof of concepts, especially that first like season of games. But yeah, basically, because once Rick got his thing, I was like, oh, I should go back and finish my season, and realized I actually had like basically finished it. I was only like maybe like 4 weeks that I hadn't kept up with it. And so I just kind of honestly, I was on a bus to go see Oppenheimer, and I was like, you know what? Because like my partner was like, you can take the car if you want. I was like, honestly, I want to go on the bus, play my Playdate. And it's so perfect. It really is perfect for transit because it's so tiny, and like it was nice because I didn't have to bring like a bag or anything, right? Like the Playdate's so small, you just pop it right into your pocket, and it's just like so easy.
Yeah.
And finally, and I also got to say, I love having a handheld that. Well, I guess most handhelds still have the headphone jack, but just phones and stuff. It's like no fucking headphone jacks anymore, and I'm like, thank you for putting in a goddamn headphone jack. Anyway, that's the one I beat. I really haven't beaten anything else. I'm getting married this week. It's been a lot.
It's understandable. Yeah. The key question, and I'll ask it on behalf of everyone listening to this podcast: did you see Oppenheimer before or after Barbie?
I haven't seen Barbie yet. The reason is that I want to see it with my partner, and she's so busy. So Oppenheimer was first.
I get that.
Honestly, I'm more
that.
excited for Barbie than Oppenheimer, but it was one of those ones where it was like, I know she wants to see Barbie, so I was like, well, all right, I'll go see Oppenheimer because she doesn't care. Though I directed a play called Copenhagen, which is all about Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg. And so watching this movie, it was like watching it's the fucking Avengers of physicists. That's what this goddamn movie is. You're just like, I know that guy. I know that guy. Hey, I know that guy. And like, I know way too much. Like, I know a stupid amount about the creation of the atomic bomb. And so watching this, I was like, yeah. Oh, they included that. Oh, cool. I was like, this is... Yeah,
I'm in the weird position where like I don't care about either film. Like it's a strange one. I'll probably end up seeing both, but I just don't. I don't have that level of enthusiasm for either or both of them.
My level of enthusiasm for Barbie is less about Barbie. It's more about Greta Gerwig. Like I love all the work Greta Gerwig has ever done. Little Women is, I still think, the best like book adaptation that's ever been made. It's brilliant in how it adapts that book, and it's just so good. And I use it with all my film students. And Lady Bird is also just a phenomenal movie. But yeah, when I heard her and like her, anyway, this is not a film podcast. All I'm gonna say is that they're good movies, and it's great to play games while you're going to see a movie.
Agreed.
What about you, Rick? You beat a bunch of stuff.
I've been a busy boy. It's very true. Now, the first two completions are kind of cute little ones. So I played a game that each of you had mentioned that was short. So for Paula, I played a game called Handshakes. It's a browser one you played a while back. I had a really good time with this one. It is exactly as long as it needs to be. The conceit is that you have two people. They both have like a weird long snaky hand that they can move. And your job is to get those hands to shake together. There is so much depth to this game, and it's so cool that they're making a full game of it because I will be all over that. I feel like the game's got, ironically, a lot of legs for a game about hands. There are bombs. You can sort of push each other around if you move your arms in the right place. And it's a real challenge, but it's a testament to the way that it's put together that not once did I feel the compulsion to just look up a solution to a puzzle out of frustration. Really, really good. If you've got 30 to 60 minutes spare and an internet connection, you can do worse than play this game. By contrast, I played the first Mystery of Frog Detective, which is a game that you did not like very much, Alex. And I liked the vibes from the outside. There was a part of me that kind of wanted to play it and go, no. I thought it was great. It's mid at best. You were on the money.
Yeah. It's a sad being right, to be honest with you. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be the guy who doesn't like Fraud Detective, but it just is.
the depressing part is that the game thinks it's really funny.
Yeah.
And you can tell that there's this misplaced confidence in the offbeat quote unquote humor. But it's a glorified fetch quest. It takes maybe 45 minutes to beat. 10 minutes of that is watching like the animated rigs of the characters do a dance at the end. It's not good. And it was on Game Pass, so I didn't really lose anything except time. But I absolutely did not want to play Mysteries 2 or 3. It wasn't very good at all. Third game probably falls somewhere in the middle for me. A game called Before Your Eyes. Critically acclaimed story game about a character who finds themselves in the afterlife, and they are reliving their life in preparation for making their case to enter heaven rather than hell, to grossly simplify things. The conceit of the game is that every time you blink, the scene advances, give or take.
Right.
There are some situations where it doesn't do it that way. But there are also accessibility options, so you can have it so you just tap the screen to move on, sort of thing. I played this on Android. The blink detection worked surprisingly well for most of the game, and then it straight up broke, so I had to play the last 20-30 minutes with the accessibility setting on. The story's quite good. It's very competently put together. It goes in an interesting direction. There's a twist I absolutely didn't see coming that was quite satisfying. I think ultimately it was good, but not great. I think it took a little bit too long to get to what it was doing. I think it was a little bit meandering. There are certain narrative integrations within the gameplay that felt like they were there for the sake of having some gameplay. And as much as I'm a gameplay first guy, if it doesn't improve the overall experience, it shouldn't be in there just to give you a gameplay mechanic. And there were a couple of little moments where it felt like that. Overall, lots of fun. Again, as I've said a few times, this is one where if you've got Netflix, you've got this game for free on the mobile platform of your choice, unless your choice is Windows Phone, in which case, how are you listening to this podcast? But also, like, whatever. So it's well worth looking at, I think. The big one, and I just about got this done in time for the pod. I finally beat FF7 Remake. And that includes like a several-hour monster marathon session through chapters 14 to 18, which is the back chunk of the game. Overall impression, good but not great. I am struggling in myself to articulate why it didn't quite resonate with me. I think it's probably just a confluence of a few things. So we'll start with the good. The music, phenomenal. Such a good job they've done. Honoring and reimagining and recontextualizing the music and the motifs of this game. The graphics for PS4, very, very good. There are some dodgy textures, but on the whole, the game looks and moves really, really nicely. I mean, the one that caught my eye, and I knew it was coming because it had been highlighted in an article around the time, and it stuck with me. There's a bit where you climb really, really high, and you're looking out over something that's happened. Alex is laughing because he knows what
I know
I'm
exactly what you're
talking
talking about. I've experienced this on PS4. Yeah, you just unlocked
it's like
the memory.
a 240p JPEG
Yes,
of a skybox. And
honestly.
the cruelest part of it is they have Barrett say to Tifa, "Remember this view.
Oh,
Don't let this memory leave you." It's like, I won't, Barrett. I won't.
you're like, never could, buddy. Never could.
No. And the story is actually really well done. If nothing else were to make me really, really interested in the second remake game coming, I think, later this year, the way that they've handled the story would still do it for me.
Yeah, as someone who never played Final Fantasy VII, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Still feels like a quarter of a game, but this is pretty cool.
And there's definitely something of that. I think that's totally a fair criticism.
Yeah.
My point of interest is that actually this is a remake that almost relies on you having played the original. Sephiroth doesn't get a whole lot of explanation. There are certain events that are alluded to, and I'm sure you'd understand most of the plot without it, but you really miss a lot if you didn't play the game the first time. I don't want to say any more than that because I don't want to give anything away. There were certain things that were intimated to, spoiled to me, which took the wind ever so slightly out of its sails. But this does a fantastic job treating and remaking the story of the original in a way that is both interesting for new fans and for old.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because like I've never played it, but I feel like I have played it because I know so much about the damn game. You know what I mean? Like even
It's the only game that could get away with it.
Right? Exactly. It's like it's such a like I don't know how you can go your existence being someone who plays games and not know what happens in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, Paula, you probably think you don't know, but you fucking do know. Like, I bet you anything you know a certain thing that occurs in that game if you start
I
playing.
have no idea where you're talking about.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
might want
anyway.
to plug your ears for the next minute, Paula. I just want to talk.
Yeah, you're gonna plug your
spoilers.
ears.
Okay.
Yeah.
we'll
Give
give
me
you the
a
thumbs up when you're ready
signal.
to come back.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
and by the time we finish, we'll more or less be at retirement. So anyone who's listening who wants to skip there. The interesting thing for me is that how to word this best. The game is such a cultural touchstone. The story is such a cultural touchstone. I am astonished at the bravery it took to go this way. Yet at the same time, I can't imagine any other way this could have possibly worked.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see the ending with Zack walking across from the other characters, and the idea that that's going to do something in the sense that Zack and Cloud could be fighting alongside each other again. What that means for when they do go out into the wider world map. Where on earth they take the story. What Sephiroth are we seeing? Is he of that timeline? Is he of a different timeline? It does a fantastic job of taking those building blocks and making it. It's like those Lego sets where it's a 2-in-1, where you can build it into one thing and then you take it apart and you can make something completely different with it. But you can see the bits that made it up the first time as well. It's such a cool setup. On the negative side, and you can come back for this bit, Paula, if she's looking at me instead of the ceiling, which she's not. I'm waving like a maroon sailor. Paula, sure. Right, there we go.
Here.
I think 3 things ultimately bogged it down for me. The first thing is just the sheer linearity of the game on the whole.
It's very linear.
It's very linear, and I feel like this game got a pass where things like 13 didn't. Because outside of a couple of hub areas and some fast travel bits near the end, it's follow path, fight battle, follow path some more, which is not super engaging. The story and the music and some of the other aesthetic bits do a lot to mitigate, but they do not completely remove that problem. Second thing is the combat. I like but do not love it. And in its lowest moments, it is the worst of both worlds, in the sense that this system is designed to merge active time battle and real-time combat. And in large part, it succeeds. But there are aspects of it that feel very, very shallow, in the sense that you're basically just mashing square and then activating an ability, which almost defeats the point. And there are accessibility auto battlers, but that feels uneven also. But then there are certain boss encounters and setups that require you to be very, very meticulous with your usage of abilities and items and everything else, in spite of the fact that the new system requires you to be moving and attacking and dodging attacks and getting around them in ways that the active time battle type setups never needed. And by extension, I think it makes certain encounters, certain bosses much more difficult than they need to be, because it puts that extra pressure on you between your actions. And that's not all the time. I think it's maybe 60-40 where the combat works versus where it doesn't. And the last boss battle, although it took me a few goes, really ranks up there. It's a very, very good fight on the whole, I think.
God, I can't even
And
remember the last boss. Jeez. Oh, no, I remember. Never mind. Yeah.
And I think my third problem is just that the game, while only being a portion of the original story, feels overly long. There are lots of fetch questy side quests. There's lots of wandering aimlessly with no purpose. There's a few chapters that feel like they absolutely didn't need to be there. They didn't really serve to advance the plot or character development or world building or anything. And I think some of those in some parts and others speak to why it took me so long to finish it. Like, it really took a gargantuan effort to, like, right, I'm going to clear this. And that speaks volumes, because if the game was truly great, I would have been at least dipping into it regularly. Whereas I felt like I really had to make myself do it. So I will eventually play the sequel. I am absolutely looking forward to what that brings from a story perspective. My God, I hope they improve the game side of things. They've got a good foundation. It just needs refining and tweaking, and it needs to be a little bit more considerate of the time of the player. One last thing I'll shout out: the materia system absolutely still holds up. They've made some minor tweaks, but it's a really, really cool way to handle magic and non-character abilities. And I'm as much of a fan of it now as I was in my brief time playing the original. How does that sort of stack up with what you felt about the game, Alex?
I mean, that sounds like, honestly, like, pretty spot on. Like, I think I might have had like a slightly more, well, actually, I don't know. I don't think I had like a crazy positive experience or like a bad one. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was fun. Like, that was just kind of it. I think you're right that, like, those elements you're talking about, it's been so long though, so like I can't really talk that much on the combat, because it was just so long ago. I will say, like, it's definitely fun and like enjoyable, but I think you're right that there's, I bet this is really good on PS5. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of my complaints are like, I think I was really pushing my base PS4. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think I had a PS4 Pro even. I think I just had a base one. So like, I think I might have been pushing that motherfucker pretty hard. Or no, I had a Pro actually. I did have a Pro. Yeah, I did. I can't even remember.
I mean, the load times were brutal on base. The load times were brutal.
They were brutal on all of them, I think. I don't know. Yeah, it's Final Fantasy IV, right? Like, it's so hard. This game feels a little bit like talking about Ocarina of Time and like its remakes. You know what I mean? Where like, I know this one is a big remake, but it's a little bit just like, you're gonna play it. You know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like
I hate it, but I get it. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Right? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, everyone's gonna fucking play the game, and like, those who aren't, they're never gonna fucking touch it. And anything I say ain't gonna convince them. It's that weird kind of game. Like, it's like talking about Skyrim a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like Skyrim's fucked, but also, who gives a shit? Yeah. But I totally, like, I feel like you're spot on with it though. I have high hopes for the second part, because I do think that, like, that's where, like, the game literally becomes like this big open world, right? And so, like, my hope is that that's what happens with it, because I think you're right that, like, and I'm one of the weirdos who actually really liked Final Fantasy 13. But like, but because, I'm okay with linearity occasionally. That being said,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm tentatively optimistic about the second part, because I also think that the linearity in Final Fantasy games is there to prepare you for the open world that you enter into in some regards, right? And part of me is like, what's it going to be like? Like, are they just going to throw us into this open world thing? Is it going to feel completely different? I don't know, because aren't they planning like 3 games for this, or are they up to 4 now?
Trilogy is, I think, what they'd
Trilogy.
said. I think the linearity as preparation argument makes more sense when it's in the same game.
That's what I mean, right? Yeah. That's why, like, oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't defending this remake. I meant, like, that's my concern, is that it's literally in the game for a reason. It's like when you play Golden Sun, it's linear, and then you open it up, and it's really exciting. But it's like, that seems weird to, like, have a game that I played so long ago now that I fucking forget. And then I'm gonna come in and be like, oh, where am I again? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I don't know. I think,
and with that in mind, I can see me waiting, because it's Square Enix. Like, I already screwed up and missed out on Intergrade because I bought the game when they first released it.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be a 3.712 quadrilogy remix,
Kingdom Hearts 5
final cut. Yeah, so I'll maybe just wait and play the whole thing then, but we'll see.
We shall.
Yeah, actually, I'm waiting for the 3 games to get released to eventually get a PS4 and to play the first game, because literally the only thing I know about the original Final Fantasy VII is that there's Cloud, there's Sephiroth. I think there's like Cloud dressing as a girl somewhere in the game because I don't know why I know that tidbit in particular.
He looks fine.
And I
Seriously,
know there
getting
was
hot
like
in
some
here.
controversy with Tifa's redesign, and that's all I know.
Oh my god, yeah.
it was a
'cause
non-controversy with Tifa's
it
redesign.
wasn't,
I feel like
yeah.
that was a flash in the pan thing. There were like 2 articles on it, and then everyone got over it.
People were
And
like,
it's literally just a comment that got like mistranslated, I think, about them like shrinking her boobs. That's literally it.
oh, I thought
Yeah.
it
I
was
actually
'cause
like
she
the
had
redesign. I think the new
shorts
design looks
or something.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I mean, I thought it was because she had like longer shorts or something. I don't even know. Look,
Oh,
Tifa is like
I don't know.
that design is thirsty as fuck. So like, I don't know what people are
I'm
complaining
here for
about.
it.
Yeah. I wasn't complaining. I'm just saying. I don't know why
Nope.
others are complaining.
I don't know.
Anyway, we've talked goddamn long enough about my completions. I've got 2 last quick ones. They're both Playdate games. The first is one of the first week's season games. That is Casual Birder.
I love this game.
This game is pretty adorable. So
Right.
you're a guy who goes to a village, takes some photos of birds, and there's some fucking Greece-style hooligan gangs who don't want people taking photos of birds because they want to win the big bird photography contest by shooting this legendary bird. The story's kind of silly, but like there's a charm to it, and it plays out like an itch sort of game maker Game Boy RPG. You've got A and B buttons, they're mapped to actions depending on what you do with your inventory wheel, which is also the crank, which I enjoy. The crank also acts as the focus on your camera, so you're spinning the crank to like focus in or pull focus on birds or whatever you need to take a photograph of. It's just fun. It's a little bit obtuse. Fortunately, the dev has got a guide up. There was one thing where I did have to just have a quick peek at what I was supposed to be doing. And they readily admit in the guide, they're like, I made it a bit obtuse. So here you go. I have to say, I don't think the first 2 games of the series do the best job of showcasing what Playdate can do. And damn, I should have done this the other way around because that would have been a nice segue into my retirement. Anyway, but Casual Bird is a lot of fun. I liked it. The second game I played is a very, very short demo of a longer game, which I have since bought, but yet to start playing. That is Illumination. The full game is The Botanist, if you've seen that on catalogue at all, Alex.
I haven't seen that one, no, but it sounds like it's good.
So Illumination is free. You can sideload that from itch. The Botanist is like a full 20 to 30 minute adventure. And it is comic book panels with some interactive elements telling a story. So it's like a truly interactive novel.
Cool.
In that sense. And when you play Illumination, I mean, that game is made to make the screen pop. And my God, does it. It looks phenomenal. The artwork is really cool. It has a little charm of its own. The games on Playdate are a little bit on the pricey side, but like this demo had me spending like £8 or £9 on the full game. Such was the impression it left on me. So I'm looking forward to playing that one in between other releases in the coming weeks. And since I've blown my segue, I'll just let you tell us about your retirements first, Alex, and then I'll tag back in later. I think we've heard enough about me for the time being.
Sure, yeah, no problem. I retired a couple Playdate games that were sort of shite, which is what happens on Playdate. Some of them are great, and then some aren't, and it's okay. So the ones that I retired were basically, there's one called Saturday Edition. It's like a point and click adventure game that I don't fucking understand what I'm supposed to do. I don't like it. It's dumb. It's slow, dumb. Those games, I barely like those games anyway. So not for me. Just not fun. Snack is fucking, it's Snake. I don't need another Snake game. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, are you for really, dude? Really? Snake? I played that game on a Nokia back in the day, bro. I don't need another one.
The Nokia.
The Nokia.
I'm walking here.
I really didn't like the vibe of Sasquatchers. I can't really explain it to you. That shit rubbed me the wrong way so fast. Like the humor, the style, I was not a fan. I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Can't really explain why I don't like it. I just did not. So I was like, I'm gonna nope out of here pretty quick. Which honestly, I like a game that has a strong style from the get go that you can decide if you're into it or not. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to like play around for a while. I was just like, nah, not happening. I just noped out. Gaudios. Fuck. I gotta open my Playdate. I don't even remember what this one is. You tell it left a big impact. Oh, actually, this was kind of cool. It's like, not Pong, but oh, no. Gaudios. Oh, never mind. No, this kind of sucked. This was like a side-scrolling shooter.
Okay.
But you have like a ball that like bounces. It just kind of sucks. Like it's like pretty hard and the hit detection is weird, and like you can rewind though with your paddle when you die, which I thought that was cool. But it's not great. It's okay. It's a fun play. Like it's play it for a little bit. It's an arcade game. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. 360 is actually quite fun. It's just you don't beat it. Like it's okay. It's like Brick Breaker, but like ones where you're in a circle, like it's a 360 all around it. And you use the crank to move your platform to hit the ball.
Oh, that was a game on the original iPods when they had the touch wheel.
Yes, exactly. It's like that back. And I was like, okay, because so like Snake for me was like, this is stupid because it's just D-pad, you can have it whatever. This, I was like, yeah, this is perfect. This makes perfect sense why this is here. This is like exactly what the Playdate's made for. And it's arcadey goodness. It's fucking, the hit detection is great. It's fast. It's fun. It's like I'll probably play it again. I just put retired because I was like, well, I can't fucking beat the game. Like I guess I technically beat a run, but you play until you die. Like that's the point, right? It's high score. It's arcade.
Yeah.
But it's great. This one's very good. This is one of those ones where like I could see myself like just opening my Playdate and just like doing a couple rounds of it, because it's just like it doesn't feel like an inferior version of this game. It feels like, oh yeah, this is the one. This is it. Like, this is the smart shit, man. And God, yeah, it reminded me of my iPod back in the day. Fucking love that fucking wheel, dude. That shit was so good. The click sounds. Yeah.
So are Gaudios and 360, are they itch ones? Because I recognize
No.
three.
They're all coming eventually.
Oh, they're all season 1 games, right? Okay.
Yeah. They're all in there. Oh wait, are they? Fuck, dude, I don't remember.
I don't think they are. I had a quick peek at the list just to see if I recognized the names, and I didn't see those other two.
No, they are. They're on my season 1.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they're later. Maybe they were bonuses. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. Let's have a look. Oh no, Battleship Gaudios. That's why.
Sorry, that's why. Yeah, there's B.
They're called slightly different things.
Yeah,
that is your fault.
The 360 though, on when you play it. Oh, is that a B? Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yep.
Oh, it's supposed to be a B? Okay, because when you play it, it's just
I've corrected them for you.
Do you know what it is? Instead of the B, because on the thing, you can see it. It looks like the paddle.
Oh, yeah. No, I'll give you that one. It doesn't look right. When you're looking on the Playdate catalog online, it's typed out in normal letters.
Isn't that
fair enough?
Doesn't that look nice? Like, God damn it, it's so.
Oh,
good.
It's beautiful. I have to say, even in low lighting conditions, I found it very usable.
Yeah, because of the contrast. It works really
because of the contrast.
Yeah,
it's matte, but it's very reflective. So
very good.
It's beautiful, like in daylight, but even in like lamplight, it's very, very usable.
Perfectly fine. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be taking it with me. I just feel like seeing how catalog's going and stuff now, and like all the itch things. Like, there's just there is actually quite a bit of support for the thing.
Oh yeah. They've literally just today released a few extra games. Like when I was looking, I've just spotted them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new curated games.
Right, and they've almost have all of them are almost shipped out now. Like they're on their last wave of them, which I know it's a long time, but like for a unique little console like this, with a pretty dedicated group of people who enjoy it, it's like whatever, right? Like they're gonna be fine with this. I feel like they're doing pretty good. I've definitely. It's also weird because it's so niche and unique. I am like more inclined to buy games from them.
Yes, you want to
You know?
support it because it's a little community system sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that. I don't know, $6, sure, why not? Like, whatever. That's like, I'm like, I know that like the work, you know what I mean? I don't know. There's just something about it because I also know that it's unique, right? Like, it's like I don't get much experience like this. Anyway, those are the three that those are the ones I retired. They're not, none of them are like necessarily bad. I just some of them weren't my vibe. What about you though? You retired a couple of them too, eh?
I did. The first one is the other season 1, week 1 game, which we talked about outside of the pod and both agreed was pretty meh. That is Whitewater Wipeout. So this is a little arcade surfing game where you are supposed to control the orientation of your surfboard with the crank. Just doesn't work very well, and it's not particularly compelling. The art that they've made for it's pretty good. It looks quite nice, but there's not much point in it looking nice if it plays like crap.
Yeah.
And that's where I fall with it. The other one is one you've definitely talked about before, Necro Crisis for the Playdate. It's like a on-raily shooter type thing. It's endless. So you're aiming with the D-pad and then you're firing with the crank. But the reload's kind of mashed up on it because you can't reload when you've got half a clip. You have to empty your clip, and that can put you at disadvantage when the other enemies come up. And the D-pad's just not very good to aim with, but I don't know how else they would have done it. And it's a shame because the art's quite good. The voiceover's not. The voiceover sucks. There's like 3 voice lines and they repeat them over and over again. I played this game for 5 or 6 minutes and I must have heard at least 20, this is my Duke Nukem impression. Do you like my Duke Nukem impression? It's like, well, the first time it was okay, but now it's quite boring. So that one wasn't up to much, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's us for retirements, I think. That would take us into what we're playing. Paula, do you want to kick us off?
So I'm still playing Pokemon Test. That obsession hasn't died down yet. Though I have to say, like I almost have to play around in the morning. I like to just start the game. It's like my morning coffee, but it is Pokemon Test because otherwise, like, hey, I'm missing something over here. So it seems there's gonna be a tournament. So they did like a couple of tweaks to some of the mechanics, especially like to evolve Gyarados, Magikarp into Gyarados. I said you needed 9 Magikarps to evolve into Gyarados, and to be honest, that is like super not worth it because you never get to that point in the game, and if you do, like, it doesn't feel worth it unless you have like a full evolved team, because you have to keep up the space on your bench for that. Now now you only need 8 Magikarp to evolve into Gyarados, which is 1 less. It's still a lot, but at the very least, you don't need to have you have either a free space on your bench or you don't have a useless Pokemon just flopping around in the like in the battlefield. What else? That is pretty much Pokemon outages. Also, I don't know what they did to the balancing, but I have had a lot of trouble like winning rounds lately. Like, I have to really check the numbers or like my strategies because the strategies that used to work are now useless. Anyway, that is Pokemon outages. The other game that I've been playing, this I had like on pause for the longest time because I was playing just before Tears of the Kingdom release, and then that release, and this got patched forever. And that is Pokemon Yellow Special Pikachu Edition on the 3DS. So I turn on the game, see where the hell I am. So apparently I was on Viridian Forest and I have a Pikachu named Sparky because that's your starter. Nidoran male named Marsh, and a Pidgey named Bash. I don't know how long Bash will last on the team because there's only so much Pidgeot or a Pidgeot can do in a team on this specific iteration of the first Pokemon game. But, well, he is there for now. So I made it to Peter City, train March until it got to level 13, I think, when he learned Double Kick, because I needed something against rock types, because Sparky was useless. He only knew Thunderbolt, and I don't know. I guess Peter City Gym is a rock type gym because Brock says this is a rock type gym. But in reality, all the trainers said have ground type Pokemons. And it's like, okay. Anyway, Sparky is useless there because the only move that it knew at that point in time was Thunder Shock. Oh, and Thunder Wave. And the Tail Whip and Growl and fuck that. So I train up my Mirror Mail to be able to do anything on that team, because Vash wasn't gonna do shit because rock type gym. To my surprise, they didn't use a single rock type move. And I shouldn't be surprised because at the time, Rock Tomb wasn't a thing. So the special TM that Brock gives you for defeating him is Bite, which, by the way, it sucks. Until you find that one Pokemon that is bulky and knows Bite and you don't defeat it in one shot and you're in a Nuzlocke run, then it sucks. I mean, then it sucks for you and it is a good move for the enemy. But overall, Bite, you're very poor decision for a signature move there in a Rock City gym. So I defeated Brock, got the Boulder Badge, and then went into Mount Moon. I pretty much ended up with the same team that I began with. So I think March is gonna be a neutrino like soon. So that's it for Pokemon Yellow. And the other one that I've been playing a lot of is Paradigm Paradox for the Nintendo Switch. Little refresher. You know that anime that is Magical Girl Ore, where you have a girl that turns into like a magical, very buff boy?
I do now.
No.
No.
Okay, so this is the opposite case. Like you have this group of boys that turn into magical girls and just fight monsters. Why are they fighting monsters? Like, it seems there are monsters in this post-apocalyptic world. And now, for reasons, the protagonist is now joining the group, and she is just a girl that turns into magical girl. So I finished the first route, which, by the way, the routes here are really short. Like, it wouldn't bother me that the route was, I think, 4 hours and a half if the ending weren't so abrupt. Like, at the end of the route, it was like, hey, confession time. I know they're gonna do things together because they promised they were gonna, like, uncover this mystery and, like, tell to the world that the government, not the government, and the researchers are all corrupt bastards and they're doing bad stuff. And the game ends there. Like, they don't even show you the process of they, like, pulling out this plan where they were supposed to uncover this big thing. You just know they uncovered it, but now they don't show you, like, the result of their work, and they exposed and pretty much all the bad shit that has been going on in this place. I was like, why do you do this to me? Like, you had a thing. You had a thing here. Like, give it even one more chapter. Like, go through this idea that was, like, super cool. I want to see chaos in this game. Like, you already told me that they're pretty much planning like this thing that will turn up the society on its head, and you don't show me the chaos, so I feel betrayed.
Try.
So the thing with this game is this is a collaboration between Automate and I think the band is called 8B, which is a boy band of 8 I
Boys.
think idols kind of
I was
thing.
gonna say, big guess, 8 boys probably.
Yeah,
I can
8
do that
boys,
one.
and each of them boys one of the main love interests. So this game has the 8 routes that are like love interest oriented, and the grand finale route. I only played 1.5 so far. Like the first one was okay, it just ended abruptly, and I was like, I wanted more of it, but it was fine TM. It had like really good moments too, but it was fine TM. Also, I did something like unusual that I usually like to play Otome games like with a guide, especially if I know they have like oops you die moments, kind of like endings. Like, hey, I think I'm gonna go that back alley. Oops, you died. There was a serial killer over there. So there was a moment where there were fighting vectors, which were these monsters, and Mocha, which is the magical girl name of this character, kind of like wanted to go see the outside world because story beats, background things from the character. And you could be like maybe encouraging, like, hey, you're gonna like really try to go through this thing that was very hard for you, and like, but you're gonna do it. So you could be like encouraging, like, hey, let's do this, and you get killed. Like there was like an extra monster like came out of nowhere and you're dead. And it was like, okay, so that wasn't the correct answer, I guess. And there were like 2 more options. And it was like, hey, the middle option that was like, okay, we could go, but we need to get permission first. And the other was more like, okay, hold your horses. Which, by the way the dialogue went was kind of like, I feel like I'm being a bitch right here. Like, I'm not being supportive, but being a bitch was, first of all, the way to not get killed. And second of all, the way you get the guy's heart. But anyway, that was like, okay, I guess I have to be a bitch to get to survive and get the boy in this route, and that is like a literal quadratic road. Also, there were like a couple of things that were like left in the air. Like, okay, there are 8 routes, and then I went and checked like the recommended route order in Otobekiden's site. And this was actually one of the first routes that you are not supposed to do, but the one with the less information about the overarching story in it. So, okay, I can live with it. But still, like, I got like, hey, this character is like a walking red flag, and this other character he's hiding something. And then I went and saw the opening scene again, and it's like, wait, who are these guys? I mean, this girl, like, I haven't seen like this. It was 4 characters that I haven't seen at all during the first round of gameplay. I'm like, okay, I guess there's a lot more to be uncovered here. So then I went and got the normal embodiments, which, by the way, there are 5 endings for each guy. The good end, the normal end, the bad end, and then 2 oops, I died, or oops, he died moments. So there are like, just multiply that by 8. That's gonna be 45 game endings for this short game. So, dear listeners, you're gonna hear me lose my sanity with this one. I'm probably lower percent too, but like I got all of the endings, and this game has a flowchart. So, by the way, more games should have a flowchart this pretty because it's very like easy to follow. I only have 50% of the flowchart, 15% of the flowchart. Sorry. I was like, hey, we'll be here for ages. And yeah, that's the most uh advanced. Like I started another character as well, but there isn't like a lot going on there, so I'll leave it at that. So yeah, who wants to take it away?
Alex, do you want to jump in?
Sure. I don't have a ton, because I haven't made a lot of progress. Obviously, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Look, I'm still playing it, but it's gonna be a fucking while. Summer is a busy time for this boy. Though, honestly, after this Sunday, my life will be much, much simpler again. Very excited, but my partner and I have both just been like, why didn't we just elope?
Yeah.
But it's gonna be really fun once we get there. So yeah, played a little bit more of that. I played a tiny bit more Garden Story. Almost 100% this shit's gonna get retired. Guaranteed it's getting retired. It's not great.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's fine. A little to the left, I've been making progress through it. I just play a little bit like every day or so. It's fun. Still the UI, still shit. But I started a different cozy game that is actually bundled on Steam, and this game is dope. It's called Sticky Business. It's where you make a sticker business. It is so fucking awesome. Dude, this game is great. It is a sticker business sim. And okay, the aesthetic is exactly what you imagine. It's pink, cute animals. It's very queer, lots of queer stuff you can put in there, which I love. It is just like, it's super gay and super colorful and super cozy as fuck. Because the idea is basically like, so it's kind of a puzzle game actually, because you design, you can like design, you have a day, right? And so like during your day, you have things that you can do, but they take up time. So you can design stickers, which takes up time. Once you've designed stickers, you have to create a print sheet. And then you print the stickers, and the more stickers you could fit on the sheet, the better your return is, right? Okay. Then you fulfill orders, and so orders will be for a certain number of stickers. You put them into, and you design the packaging yourself. You can pick what you want. You package them up, and then you mail them. And so all that takes time, right? So you have to manage your time well, but you also have messages that you're getting. And when you check your messages, every once in a while after you've unlocked something, you'll see like a hint of like, oh, I love animals or something like this, right? And so you're like, maybe my next sticker should have something to do with animals, right? And so you make those stickers, and then when you put them on, because you put them on your website, which you can also design your website a little bit. It looks like it really looks like the early like internet era style stuff. And I love it. It's just, oh God, it just hits so good. Yeah, the loop is really fun. It's pretty simple. It's I don't think it's very long. Like I don't know if because I've been blasting through it pretty fast. I see How Long to Beat. Someone says 6 hours, and I'm like, I will be amazed if this game is actually 6 hours long. But it's like it's cheap. It's very, very. Not only is it aesthetically pleasing, the gameplay is actually fun. And making your own little sticker business is just cute and fun. And like because it's stickers, the things you're designing aren't that complex, right? Like it's pre-designed graphics. So you don't get stuck in this like, oh, but I'm not very good at this. Like anyone can make fun little looking stickers. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like some kind of master or whatever to have a good time with this one. So I really recommend this. This one to me, it's like, you know how like A Little to the Left felt like all aesthetics with slightly fun gameplay, but shit UI. This is like everything in this works great together. It feels like very cohesive experience that is like obviously trying to be cozy, but recognizes that in order to be cozy, it has to be a good game. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So yeah, really fucking into this one. Really, really fucking into it.
The art's nice as well. It's like
Isn't it?
block colors,
Yeah,
with a slight sort of pixely effect on a lot of it.
yeah. It's like chunky. Do you know what it is? This game feels a little bit like maybe what Frog Detective wants to be. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, from a vibe perspective, for
yes,
sure.
not gameplay wise or anything, but from a vibe perspective, yeah. It's like, and it's just so. This game genuinely feels like a warm hug. Like it's just lovely. Um, and yeah, I highly recommend it. So that's Sticky Business. Another game about running a business, Spell Corked. This is a Playdate one, where you run a spell
Ooh.
business. It's pretty good so far. It's like, so okay. You have games like Casual Birder, right? Casual Birder to me is actually an impressive full game.
Mhm.
Is it super long? No, but it is a full game. Spell Corked is an impressive idea that I think is not necessarily going to be like a full game per se. Like there are some elements of it that I'm not sure are fully thought out.
Mhm.
It is more impressive than most of the Playdate games that I've played, though, I will say, which is why
Okay.
I'm sticking with it, because the concept is kind of neat. Like you receive requests for potions, and you have like like a potion. It gets more and more complex because you can add multiple ingredients together, but the ingredients affect the type of potion effects that you get. But you don't know what the potion effects are until you do it,
Mhm.
which I personally think is like a little stupid, because it's like, well, I'm literally just tossing a coin. Because there's no like obvious what it's going to be. And then once you figure it out, you're like, okay, well now I know. And they don't really penalize you. It just sort of feels like, why not just tell me what the effects are? You know what I mean?
And realistically, you'll Google it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could, but like, it's also like, there's no real point to do. Yeah, it's just like, just tell me what the effects are. Like, I'm a witch, I should just know what the effects are. Especially if you're basing the game around requests, it's like, just let me know what they are. But
Mm.
it's like, this is one that I'm like, at first I was like, I'm not sure, but I'm like, but this is promising. This is like a lot of promise in it, so I want to see it. I want to see it out, you know.
Mm.
See it through. Ratcheteer is another one with promise, but I'm fucking stuck. I feel like I'm just a fucking idiot. It's like a Zelda kind of game. You're like below the earth. It is like a Zelda. Yeah, it's like a Game Boy Zelda game. But you have a wrench that you get, and you have to like have a light on. The logs are interesting. It's like some kind of weird, I think, post-apocalypse. You're everyone's underground. But I entered a dungeon and I can't fucking do anything. It's like nothing works, and I'm like, what am I missing? I'm like trying all my stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck am I missing? So I think I have to Google it. But I'm like, this is a bad sign, dude. Like, if I don't know what to do in this first dungeon, shit.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well. You're right.
Right? Which is too bad, because it's very aesthetically pleasing, and it's very cute. And I really want a Zelda game on Playdate. I feel like it's perfect for it. I want like a Zelda or a Minute on here. They should port Minute to this fucking thing. That's what they should do.
Minute would be perfect. I don't know if
That or
Minute would
Roboto.
actually be a little
Roboto.
bit too taxing.
Maybe.
Ditto, yes. I suspect both of them would probably actually be too taxing. You've got to remember this
Maybe.
thing has a very incapable processor.
Yes,
But that's
true.
like part of the charm. It's very, very low spec.
Yeah. Though I've played some impressive shit on it.
Yes, yeah, and I agree with that, but that doesn't mean
But
it's
I do know
not.
what you mean. But
Yeah.
actually, speaking of impressive shit on it, because one of the games that you're playing is one of my favorites. Tell us about Bloom.
Oh, Bloom's wonderful. Bloom
Right?
is really, really, really nice. I have been mostly playing Bloom, I'll be honest. Like
Yeah.
the overwhelming majority of what I've been doing with my Playdate as of the time of this recording has been playing Bloom. Now the fun thing with Bloom is it's a dip in, dip out experience.
Exactly.
So you play as Midori. You are a college dropout who is running a flower business, but her parents think she's still in college, and she's got a lesbian girlfriend, but it's not clear that she's come out to her parents yet. She does accidentally come out to a neighbor very early on. The game is played in 2 segments. The first segment is the lightest touch farming game.
Yeah.
Like you literally put the plants in the ground, water them once, and then come back in a few hours and the plants have sprouted and you collect them. That is combined with a sort of kinetic novel type thing where you're reading texts from friends and family and business associates, and they sort of paint a picture of Midori's life. You have a phone that you do a few other things on besides. There's a little like daily gacha thing. I say gacha, it's like you have a free pod every day and you just sort of open and see what comes out. But the purpose of the game is the vibes. It's got some beautiful sort of lo-fi music running behind it. The art on Playdate is lovely. The only thing the crank really does is, apart from sort of twisting the gacha twist, which is fun, it moves you between the upper floor where your garden is and the lower floor where your room is, and you can access the phone. It's just way beyond anything it actually makes you do. Like as a whole package, it's lovely. Really, really nice. And I feel like it's the kind of game that probably should have been in season 1 if there was any way for them to make it happen. Because I feel like this really speaks to what the Playdate's good at, little short bite-sized experimental experiences that wouldn't work on a different platform. I have really, really, really enjoyed it.
Because
In a simple... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it's not
No,
only
go ahead.
it's not only a good Playdate game, it's a great game is the thing. Like that's the one that I think really that's to me what separated it from like the other Playdate games, is that like, listen, I'm not like, I'm basically a Playdate evangelist, but I'm also realistic about the fact that like it's a pretty niche experience and I am its niche. I think you and I both are. But
Amen.
Bloom is one of those games where I'm just like, this is a game that I think would convince people that they're like, oh, this fucking thing's cool.
The irony of the Playdate is it's the kind of thing that someone needs to get in their hands and be okay with paying over the odds for. Because realistically, like with it being a small run product, you are paying a premium for the fact that they haven't mass produced it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've had people IRL that I've showed it to who are baffled that I spent even a quarter of what I actually spent on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm at peace with that because I knew what I was signing up for. It's like you say, it's a niche product with a niche audience who understand that and will pay over the odds to make that a reality. And that stretches to the games. I mean, Bloom is $10.
Yeah.
In almost any other situation, you would laugh them out of town. But for a console which to date literally only has 40,000 units in the wild, that's the reality. That's how it has to be to make it sustainable. And as I understand it, Bloom's been a breakout hit. Like it's done really, really well.
Yeah.
What probably works in the Playdate's favor is that every single one of those 50,000 owners is super engaged with what's going on.
Bought Bloom.
They probably did, yeah. I mean, God, we've both ended up getting it, right? So
yeah, I'm sure tons of people bought it. I fucking like I don't know, man. Like it's such a good game. Like that is one of the few games, like a Short Hike, actually. It really reminds me of that game in a sense where it's like, it's one of the few games that has given me like modern nostalgia in the sense that like I felt nostalgic about the game as I was playing it after I beat it. I was like, this is like, it's one of those games where you're like, this is a special experience.
Yes.
And I'm getting to have it right now. And this is really amazing. And it is going to end. But wow, this is really wonderful as I'm getting to go through it. And like immediately after I was done, I was like, I do actually want to probably play this again at some point. Maybe years down the line when I hopefully forget it a little bit. But I don't know if I will is the thing. Midori is like, she sits very dearly in my heart. It's like very well done. Yeah.
How long did it take you to sort of clear it?
I don't know, a few weeks maybe.
I think a few weeks feels about right. So I got the console Wednesday. We're recording the following Tuesday, so nearly a week I've had Bloom, and I feel like I'm making reasonable progress. I mean, that's not the point,
no,
but it's true.
Yeah, especially if you're playing it pretty consistently. Like I was definitely picking it up a lot.
Oh yeah, I've dipped in a few times a day. And again, another nice thing about the Playdate, like the act of saving game is super streamlined. Either it's one of the many endless style games where you don't save it and you just finish a run and then you jump out. If it's something like Casual Birder, where every time you change a screen, it just saves. So you don't ever have to think about it. Or something like Bloom, where it's like one button away in the menu options sort of thing. It's always very straightforward to sort of park where you're at and jump to a different game. And the console is very well suited to that. Second Playdate game that I've been playing, which has a very similar sort of uniqueness to it, but it's the completely other direction in terms of tone. A joke that's worth 99 cents. How to describe this game? The crank you move in real life is also moving on the screen. There's a little guy with a bouncy little butt, and you've got to bounce him off the crank into stars. Every time you hit a star, you get a new line of a joke. And that is the titular joke that's worth 99 cents. And you have to keep him alive long enough to complete the joke. Surprisingly challenging. I haven't done it yet.
I've got
most of the way
hard.
through the joke. Yes, it is difficult. And especially because you're cranking the crank in one plane, and then the Playdate on screen is at a slight angle. So there's a degree of difficulty translating what you're doing to the movements. Also, that bouncy butt is very bouncy. It's so easy to send him flying, and then there's no way of recovering it, and you're starting again. I like it though. It's very, very lighthearted, very low stakes, funny even without the punchline so far. A nice little time. Third of four is a game called Word Trip. This is a word game where you have to. It kind of almost doesn't make sense until you start playing it. So you have 2 4-letter words, and each time you have to take 3 letters from the top word, 1 letter from the bottom word, and make a new valid word out of it. That then becomes your top word, and you're trying to get to the bottom word as quickly as possible. The trip process comes with, in the background, you've got a car driving, and if you don't do each puzzle quickly enough, it can run out of fuel, and that ends your run. Aesthetically, it looks lovely. It's like a white detailing on black background sort of topography map type thing. The game is quite addictive. It's definitely got that sort of Wordle hook its claws into you sort of thing to it. And I have enjoyed this one quite a lot. It's another endless one, so it's not one you quote unquote beat, but it is good fun. And then the last Playdate game I've been playing is Grand Tour Legends. This is a biking game, and it's controlled entirely with the crank. So you crank to pedal, you have a stamina meter, you have to try and finish first place, maximize your stamina by not pedaling on the downhills, pedaling harder on the uphills, maintaining on sort of flat terrain. And it looks fantastic. It plays really well. It's very, very arcadey. It's not super deep, but I feel like it is the perfect encapsulation of what Playdate offers. It's a unique experience. There's nothing like it. It's not the kind of game you could make work on a conventional controller in the way that it works on this console. And like everything on the Playdate, it's arguably a little bit overpriced. It's like $6. There's 3 tracks. It's not that deep, but it is a hell of a good time. One other thing, have you had anyone, Alex, ask you if the crank charges the Playdate?
No, I don't think anyone's actually seen me play the fucking Playdate.
I'm not shy about mine. I've
I'm
had
not
it
shy either.
I
just well, it's like my workplace. I don't really play games there, right? Because
I've
life.
been playing it in my lunch break. I'll be real. Touche.
Yeah, I wish.
But I've had, because obviously you can get those torches where they have a dynamo and you wind them up and then you've got the torchlight. And I've had people ask, oh, so that's how you charge the console. That's neat. That's nice, environment friendly. It's like no. Let's take a couple of steps back.
Also, it charges so fucking fast. You plug that shit in, and it's just like being ready, and you're like, oh fuck.
Because the battery's like 6 milliamp hours. It's a tiny battery because it's running a 240 by 400 monochrome screen. Exactly. It doesn't need to do a lot. And the games are all tiny as well.
Right? Like some games do chug a fair bit of the battery life, but most don't. Like you can like have that fucking actually no, there's not really anything that chugs the battery life, honestly. The fucking thing is like literally you just plug it in for like and I'm not kidding, it's like 20 minutes, man, and like that thing is like charged up. You're like, oh, okay. Especially if you have any of if you have a modern like cell phone charger, that fucking thing is like ready to rumble.
Oh yeah. I plugged it in last night at 44%. I looked back at it maybe 10 minutes later and it was at 93. I was like, wow.
You're like, all right, there we go. Yeah, goddamn. I don't know. I'm glad you got it. At least so we could talk about it for
Same.
this season finale, at least, because my god, this fucking thing is just like, it's so exactly everything I ever wanted. Like a boutique handheld with new games that feels retro. It's like, goddamn, because like, we get things like the Analog Pocket and like all of those Chinese handhelds that come out and stuff, and you're like, those are fine, but they're all for
They're
old
fine.
games,
Yeah.
right? Exactly, and it's like, and like, yeah, it's great. Who doesn't like old games, I guess? But at the end of the day, it's like, I want to pop in for new experiences. Like that's what I'm here for. It's like, those old games exist, but they only ever exist in this world of oldness, in a sense, right? Like, they're not going to become, there's no new ideas being put into them. And sure, there's like a wealth of things you can explore, but at the end of the day, it's like, I would like to play retro inspired games that take lessons from games that have come before, right? Instead of being sort of stuck playing only what has come before.
Yeah.
Not to discount that. Obviously, I'm a fucking crazy, and we all are in here. We're huge retro gamers. We love all that shit, but
Yeah.
there is just a different vibe, It's just a different vibe.
There's room for both. There's room for
Exactly.
both. And I think that the triumph of the Playdate is that it's managed to follow through on everything it promised, essentially. Everything
Yeah.
I wanted and expected from this going in, I feel like I have gotten and I'm going to continue to get from it. I mean, when you jump on Catalog and you jump on X, nay Twitter, when you jump on itch.io, when you jump on the Discord server, there's so many little projects and novel experiences being made for this thing.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool. And I'm certain that for years and years to come, I'm going to be mucking about with this thing alongside all the other things I'm playing.
Yeah. And so far there has, so far the experiences that's where they are. They're on Playdate,
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to play them, and it's one of those few ones where if you want to play this shit, better get on that Playdate. Plus sideloading is so easy. Anyway, I could talk for hours.
Sideloading is very, very easy. It's good for development as well. Like they have their own inbuilt tool. I feel like obviously it's pretty niche in terms of volume, but I can imagine it being a pretty cool thing for someone who wants to try their hand at game dev and be debugging as they go and messing around with it. It's a very cool setup for that. Probably enough Playdate talk. So the regular games I've been playing, brief tap back into Marvel Snap. I have achieved infinity, which means I've gotten to level 100 in the ranked mode with my Dark Hawk Sentry deck, which is immensely satisfying. It's the second time I've hit it in the time I've been playing, or the second season I've hit it, I should say. Lots and lots of fun. I'm not going to bore anyone with it anymore, but I'm still having a blast of a time with that game. Ditto Radiant Historia. I've gotten a character called Art who introduces floor traps in and around the 3x3 enemy space that makes up the majority of random encounters. So that's opened up a whole new host of options for maximizing damage and moving enemies around the field, which I'm very, very on board with. I will be interested to see how long this game actually runs, because I feel like I'm maybe sort of a quarter of the way through, and I'm on about 7 hours. I suspect it might end up for me being a little bit shorter than the How Long to Beat time, but we shall see. Muramasa Rebirth, I'm still playing. I'm still loving. If you've listened to any of the past 125 episodes, you know this is probably my favorite game ever. I suspect probably always will be right up there. And this replay has not disappointed in the slightest. Another replay, Yoku's Island Express for Switch. I remember absolutely loving the pants off this game when I played it on PC the first time. And while it's not quite hitting the same heights on a second play, I am really, really enjoying playing it on Switch. It's got such a charm to it. There's no reason that pinball and Metroidvania should work, but they make it work. It does work. And it has its own sort of little niggly frustrating bits, but on the whole, the charm carries it through. The experience is tight enough that the degree of randomness that comes from pinball paddles is totally acceptable within it. And it even manages to include quite a few Metroidvania style upgrades without breaking the core conceit. which is an achievement in and of itself, I think. I feel like one or both of you have played this one. Am I making that up?
Yeah, I've beaten this.
Oh, Paula, you would love this. Paula's shaking her head. It doesn't surprise me you've played it, Alex, and I imagine you had a great time with it also.
Oh, I fucking love this game. It's great. It's a great game. So fucking weird. I loved it.
Yeah, you would have a blast with it, Paula. And shout out to friend of the podcast and season 1 co-host Murph, who is the person who first got me onto this game. It is fantastic, and if anyone slept on it, it regularly goes on sale on Switch for like £3 or £4. And I feel like that is a good way to experience a game like this. It's very, very well suited to that sort of gameplay. Final game, which I foolishly bought and then only later realized is actually part of that Dread X collection, which I have not yet decided whether I'm going to pick up or not. The game is called Redtape. The concept is you, a angel, have mistakenly been sent to hell, and you have to navigate hell, which is like a weird corporate office-y sort of structure in this game, to get to Beelzebub to convince him to send you back to heaven. I've played like the first 10 minutes. It's got this weird cross between like a PS1 environment type thing, that sort of low poly vibe, and also strangely static character art, like you might see in an airport for aliens currently run by dogs, or Paper Mario or something like that. It's a weird mishmash of visual style, but it's very striking, and so far it just about works. The gameplay's a wee bit on the thin side, but this isn't a game that's geared that way, so that feels acceptable in the context of what it's doing. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it's still got a really positive impression at the end. It's only like an hour long, based on how long to beat, so I expect I won't be too long in being done with this one. I've enjoyed it so far. Is it one that you've played, Alex? I know you were singing the praises of the Dread X collection. I don't know if it's this one that's fallen within.
I don't know if this is one that I've played yet. I don't know. I don't think I have. God, it's been so long. Because I played a bunch of them, but they're all such short experiences that I can't remember if I did this one or not. I don't think so. I really need to play more Dread X, but I'm kind of waiting for Halloween. October is sort of my month. Like, I know they're not necessarily, Halloweenish games, but to me they sort of feel like it.
Yeah. Oh, A Sucker for Love is a Dread X collection game. I did not know that.
Oh.
Yeah. I've got that game separately as well, weirdly. I'm literally just pinging through the collection games to see which collection it's a part of. I'm certain it's part of one of them.
Probably is. I just got them all a while back there. Even though I feel like a couple of them, but
I feel like I probably will end up doing that.
Yeah. I don't think I have a few. I don't think I can share it with you though. I mean, yeah, well, if you're Canada folks, I can share it with some of you all, I think. It's like we've had this issue where like people probably haven't had to face this, but because we're all in different areas with different money amounts, Rick can give games to us because it costs more money. I can give games to Paula, and that's it.
Yeah, we had to use GOG for workarounds when we did Christmas games, didn't we? It was like a whole thing.
Yeah, it was like that.
And even then, I tried to give, I think it was a game to Rick, and it didn't work. No, or a game to Alex, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
One of those, because like in the small print it said it doesn't work on insert country here.
Yeah.
And it was just the fucking country one of you were living in.
Finding DRM free stuff is tough. I remember that. Yeah, I remember because I remember you sent it. I was like, I can't activate it, Paula. I think it was like Mafia. I think that's what it was. You tried to send me Mafia.
Yeah.
The new one. And I was like, sorry, I guess you own a new game.
So I need to slightly correct myself, so this makes me feel slightly better. It doesn't seem to be in the collections themselves, but it is in a bundle by the publisher with all the other collections.
I see, gotcha.
So it seems like it's its own thing, unless I'm being dense. I'm not sure.
Maybe they published it or something. Yeah.
It seems that way. I'm just double checking to the extent that it matters. But I think it's worth a look in its own right anyway.
Nice. I'll add it to the gargantuan behemoth of a pile.
To the one day, but real talk, probably never.
Yeah, exactly. It's the
I know how it is.
yeah, you know exactly what it's like. You're like, I want to, I do.
There's just no way. Sometimes there's just no way.
Yeah, well, is that it then?
I think that is it.
Nice, which brings us to our topic this week, which is a pretty big one, I'd say. It's no secret that this is the end of season 2. We had a fucking long run, almost 3 years when you look at it. Because I was looking back the other day, and I thought basically for our topic this week we'd talk a little bit about kind of where we started and where we are now and where this is going afterwards, which we sort of have announced a little bit, but we haven't like fully announced season 3, which there is going to be a season 3. So, don't fret about that, listeners. But yeah, we started this, hard to believe, in October of 2020. So, and I would say our lives were a fair bit different at that point in time.
Yep.
3 guesses why.
Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, even besides the pandemic and whatnot, I mean, I was in school at that time. Like I was, I went back to school for education. Dude, I don't know how. Okay, this is what's crazy, actually, now that I think about this. At that time, just like personally, I had a full-time job. I was teaching English every day, Monday to Friday in the mornings. Well, I guess it's technically part-time, but frankly, it was full-time. Right? I was teaching it online in the mornings. I was taking, I think, 6 university courses. And then I was like, why don't we just do a podcast too? Yeah. It couldn't fucking hurt. But like,
we were all at home. We had so much. We did have more time because there weren't the other distractions that you'd ordinarily have.
Right? Because all you were fucking doing was sit in the fucking house. Couldn't even go outside, really. And in October in Canada, I couldn't fucking go outside. And I'd gotten so into games again. Like, and not that I ever wasn't, but like the pandemic hit. And I think I'd started on How Long to Beat a little bit before the pandemic. But then when the pandemic started, yeah, I did start a little bit before. I remember I was home Christmas and I was going through my whole collection because I was adding my collection to How Long to Beat because I wanted to have it all there. And then I started getting involved, and then I was like, oh, I was on the forums all the time because we had the backlog blogs, right? Because those were big. Paula and I were both doing those for sure.
Still doing mine.
You're what?
I'm still doing mine.
Are you still doing your backlog blog?
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I hadn't even
How?
seen it. Fuck. Maybe I'll go back to mine, actually. Who knows? Like, fuck. Once the podcast is done, I might occasionally update my backlog blog. Because really the only reason I stopped was because, although I doubt I'm going to do any graphics, there's no way that can happen anymore. That was fun. But these days, it's like, dear God, not enough time. But yeah, I remember, like, I don't know about you all. Like, I'll just speak even personally on myself. Like, I was just in a very, like, I had, like, a creative rut a little bit. Like, I am somebody who has been a, theater artist, director, actor, like for my whole life, right? And so I'd been doing that for a long time, and then I quit, like I genuinely just quit doing theater and doing that kind of acting and stuff. And I was like, I kind of miss doing something like slightly in the creative area. And like, I know the podcast at that get-go was very much like an outlet, to like talk and share ideas and, yeah, I don't know. What about for you guys? Where were you at when we started this up?
Well, before we do that, what prompted you to make that change, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, the theater change? Yeah, actually,
I think you've touched on it before, but if we could sort of dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I guess like the big thing. So I got my master's in theater directing, right? And that was brutal. Like it was admittedly very, very brutal, but also wonderful, right? Like it's one of those places where I actually think like just on a sort of like a personal level, like I had been diagnosed with depression. We've talked about this like, years ago. And I'd been on meds, but I don't know if I told you guys this. My doctor, this is so stupid. So I was taking these pills, right? And he was like 2 of this, like whatever, there's so many freaking names for antidepressant gangs or, med gang. You know what I'm talking about. There's all these freaking different kinds and whatever. And it's a process to figure them out. So I got out here. And it's like halfway through my like time out, did my MFA, my new family doctor was like, when do you take these? And I was like, I take them in the morning, like you told me to. He was like, these are short-acting antidepressants. Like, they're ones that literally are supposed to be taken at 2 times during the day because they only last for like 8 hours. And I'd been complaining to him that I was like, I get so tired in the afternoon. And he was like, yes, because your body's literally fucking crashing. I was like,
Oh no.
why did they should have never prescribed this to you? And I was like, are you serious? I'd been like for like 4 years on this, longer than that even, like for so long like this. And I thought I was weird. I was just like so tired all the time. And then suddenly he gives me these like, you know, the long release. That's the thing, the long release version. And suddenly my life was like, I was losing weight. I quit drinking. I was like going, you know, all these fucking things are hitting at the same time. And as that happened, that's also when I met my fiance, soon to be wife, is around this time when my life was just like, I was just getting my shit together, you know, mid-20s, your shit just gets together. That's what happens. And I think I had realized that theater for me was a bit of an outlet, a little bit of a hiding thing too, you know, like it was kind of like, I'm depressed, let's go play pretend, you know, it was sort of fun. It's nice to do that. I also don't think I actually, like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the applause is pretty addicting. It's pretty fucking awesome. Like, not gonna lie, like when you're out there and you have an audience in the palm of your hand, feels pretty fucking good. But I also knew that like I had that and I didn't really need it anymore. And that's when I had started doing the directing, right? I had started to move in because I wanted to create my own art. And I got to do that. And in my MFA, I directed some shows that I'm extremely proud of, that were incredible. Like I talked about Copenhagen before. I had physicists coming to see that who were like, that was amazing. And I was like, fucking right. They liked it. I nailed it, you know? I had a dude come who met Werner Heisenberg. I was like, that's fucking sick. Like it was, shit like this, right? Like, anyway, all this kind of stuff. And then I directed a really awesome final production and I felt like I'd done it, you know? Like I was like, I've actually done it. Like I've had like major productions. I've directed professionally. I went on and I did some directing, but I did what's called a young company. And that was when the pandemic actually hit. I was in the midst of directing. So it's kind of like directing teaching. Where you're like teaching young actors while directing them in a production. And yeah, because one of the guys, like I got to hire, like I did directing teaching for my you know, my MFA thesis show where I had, all this might be like nonsense for some of you, but anyway, stay with me. But essentially there's like what's called the BFA, which is the Bachelor of Fine Arts. And there's an acting program at the school. And so those actors, with my program, the Masters of Fine Arts, they basically bring in 2 directors a year to that program. And one of the directors, they're going to direct a show with local actors and a few professional actors. The other one is going to direct the students. And that's the position that I was put in, where I was going to direct the students with 2 professional actors. One of those professional actors, he was actually the guy who ran what's called the Young Company, which is at like a big professional theater in town. Sort of like the big main professional theater. And he thought, like, one of the things that he told me is like, you have like the rare talent of being able to actually teach while directing, which is not a thing that a lot of directors actually are capable of doing. A lot of directors are just, they direct, right? This is what I want, do it. One thing that I think I've actually particularly skilled at was being able to like teach and instruct my actors while letting them be actors, you know? And so he had saw that and he hired me on. And I realized in the process of directing that show even, I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure I'm a teacher. You know what I mean? Like I had that moment, like I'd fought against it for so long, but I was like, I really like the part where they learn something and they feel that and they love that experience. And I don't actually care about the product that much because and this is, so we've talked about this on the podcast. I think art's a little overrated. I love it so much, but I think that the idea that art has to be like perfect is kind of stupid. Like art's art. It's just fun. I love art. Art can be super meaningful, but like art shouldn't be this thing that has to be perfect. That's the, you know, and that's what I mean by overrated, where like I think we prescribe it too much, or like there's too much of this feeling that like every piece of art that you make has to be this perfect thing, right? And I'm like, that's nonsense. I think it's great, and people should be able to pursue that. And if you want to make this like incredible perfect art, go to town. But I also think the idea that you need to be doing art forever is kind of nonsense. I don't know if have you guys do you know the filmmaker Xavier Dolan? Don't know Xavier Dolan.
You.
Off the top of my head, no.
Yeah, he's a big like indie filmmaker, Sundance and all that stuff. And he just recently he's in his like late 20s like I am now. He just he quit. He's done, and he's a like very successful professional director. And he was like, I'm done. I'm over. Like I'm not directing any more films. And he's like he's interested in doing like some TV and stuff, which is like still kind of doing things, but he's not really like actively pursuing that. And he had this conversation where he said like, I have done my art, and in a world that we see now, I'm increasingly feeling that my art is kind of meaningless. And that I think is sort of where I sat, where I was like, I love theater. Theater is great. But let's be real, folks. Does theater really move the needle in our world these days? Not entirely. There are some people who love it to death. And to them, I say, like, you should be doing it. But I knew myself that my full heart wasn't in theater anymore. It was there partially. I will certainly probably go back to it one day. But I don't want to be an artist for a living, because it's really soul draining and kind of soul crushing. Because if you want to be a professional artist, you don't get to live in one place. You have to move all over. I had to tour my shows a lot. You're doing dozens of shows a year, which means that you definitely can't put your all into it. And my thing with art is that I want my art not necessarily to be like the greatest thing anyone's ever seen, but I want it to be something that I know I've put my full effort into it. I don't want to half-ass it, because I feel like, and this is what's weird, right? I feel like art is actually too important to half-ass, but also doesn't matter that much. It's kind of a contradiction, right? It's a bit of a paradox where it's like, that's sort of where I fell. And I realized that it was like, and also, you know, I met someone, and I want to have a life and a family, and I don't want to be all over the place. I want to have some stability in my life, you know? And so for me, teaching was the thing that made the most sense. And also it's the thing that I think I'm actually pretty good at. And my students enjoy my stuff, and I really like working with students. And it's you know, when I'm in that classroom, it's a performance, and it doesn't feel like a job. It's hard as shit. Like, don't get fucking wrong. It's hard as fucking shit. But it's really nice because I need to be challenged. Anyway, that's a long freaking run around of why I moved, but it was a lot of factors. But ultimately, it's part of the thing, and I encourage every goddamn artist to just quit. Just fucking quit. Just quit and see what happens, and then go back if you want to after. Like, there's something so freeing about just not doing art for a while. That I feel like, because like I know a lot of artists whose lives are their art, and the problem is that I think the best art is art that is made from those who have lived a bit more. Like I think of The Bear right now. Holy shit, that show is from a professional chef who went on and decided that show is so fucking good, and it has something different to say than a lot of art that I see. And look, there are so many exceptions that prove the rule, and you know what I mean. Like there's you can't make a pronouncement on art and let it be the truth. But like part of why I was ready to move into video games again is because I fell in love with another art form, which was gaming, right? I love theater, and I was like, you know what, gaming. And now I'm falling in love with painting my little tabletop figures. I just love creativity, you know? And I don't like the idea of being boxed into one thing. You know what I mean? Like artists never were like that. We're in a world now where artists have to be like a thing. And I was like, why do that? Like, go have fun. Do whatever you want. Anyway, sorry, I talked way too long on that. That's my long-winded response for why I switched. I hope that satisfies the questions on that.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I want to hear from you all, though. Where were you at 3 years ago now?
I was living in a box flat, working from home for a marketing company, which is it's a pretty depressing place to be in the middle of a pandemic, on your own in a room that's about as big as my bedroom right now, and I can touch my bed and my oven simultaneously.
I fucking remember that. Yeah.
I look at the TV in the middle. So my setup when we first started recording, I literally sat at a desk. My laptop was underneath the TV because the desk was
Right.
underneath the TV.
Yes, it was.
The armchair was directly behind me because that little sort of column was my living room setup, quote unquote, and my office space. The bed was directly to the left of me.
I'm remembering this whole thing now, actually.
And
Yeah.
the oven was directly next to the desk on the other side. So it was a weird time because I lived in that small flat because it was right in the heart of a city centre, which was great when everything was open. The moment they shut everything up, it was pretty rough.
You're like, this sucks now.
And well, yeah, I mean, it was furloughed for a while, so there was a period of time where I would literally just play Warzone with the boys every day, and that was like how we got through it and kept in touch with each other. And then my employer was like, okay, we're ready to start sort of picking some of this stuff back up. Obviously, we don't expect you to come into the office. Here's all the software you need to download. Here are expectations going forward. And there are some days where I would quite literally roll out of my bed and into my chair without touching the floor. And that was where I started working. So definitely the podcast came at a good time because it was an outlet in the sense of you're talking to people in another place, doing another thing, in a medium where it's all other world, like it's a total distraction from what's going on. And I suppose where I came at it is a little bit different from you guys in the sense that I was involved in season 1.
Yeah.
Season 1 was a whole lot of fun. I don't think we necessarily approached it in the same way both times. This time was definitely easier because the editing burden was more evenly spread out.
Yeah.
We did a better job of coordinating. None of that's to slight either of the previous hosts. I still consider them friends, and I think we did the best that we could with what was a new idea for us within HLTB. Like season 1 walked so that season 2 could run.
Yeah, exactly.
But we never did the proper sort of send off that we're doing this time. It all just kind of stopped because we ended up in a place where none of us could continue to really commit to it as is. So I guess I sort of picked back up because it never felt like I stopped. There was just like a period where it wasn't happening, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So it was cool when it all sort of came up as a conversation point again, as a thing to continue. I would never call it unfinished business, but I don't think that's a million miles off. So that's where I was at. What about you, Paula?
Oh, first of all, I was in another literal home. Like I was living with my sister at that point in time. I kind of still live with my sister from time to time, but I'm more at my boyfriend's place and not. So I very much live here now. But I was pretty much I wasn't like confined to like a one room in the apartment, but I was like just there for comfort. I remember having like this huge board with all the Otome goodies, and I kind of miss that in a way. Usually the fluff, aka Kisa, aka my sister's cat, was just roaming in the background. And also, I've been studying for a very long time to become a computer science engineer. Which, by the way, I'm still studying, but now I can see like the actual fucking end of it, like the light at the end of the tunnel at this point. So at that point in time, I'm not gonna lie. After I appeared in one episode of the season 1 podcast, I listened back into the episode, and at the beginning of the recording, like I remember my English sounding like kind of rusty, and it kind of like got a little better like at the end of the episode of that particular episode. So I decided, hey, I want to improve my English, just in case I ever get invited into a podcast ever again. So what I did for that is I pick up books and start reading out loud. Or I would just voice act the video games that I was playing. So little by little, I got to a point where I was confident enough with my English to apply to the season 2 podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, because your English is it's very good. As someone who teaches people
English,
to
yeah.
speak English, I was like, yeah, she's got it. We're good.
That means
Amen.
the word to me. Like, I really wanted to improve my pronunciation and my, I guess, like how I express myself. So I went, especially during the pandemic, like, I think it was 2019 when we have the social thing here in Chile, like October 18, 2019. So I kind of like got stuck at home even before the pandemic. And we actually like, there was a time where we had to like make this huge queue to enter the supermarket because they didn't want like a huge group of people getting to supermarket and causing chaos. And there were like military in the supermarket entrances and like patrolling the queue, and it was hell. Then COVID-19 came up and it was even more hell, even more hellish. So that was a fun part of my life. But still, like, I can say with confidence that I'm not like the kind of people that if you just put into a room and she will start going crazy because like I don't need as much human contact as other people because I'm more of an introvert. So
Amen,
I kind of
sister.
like recharge my batteries with that. So I could just stay in my room all day and talk with my boyfriend a little bit, and I'm good. Like I just need to talk with my friends from time to time over WhatsApp or Telegram or Discord, and I'm good. I don't need to see people to be happy. So in that case, like the pandemic didn't hit me as hard. I think. I hope. But I was like, the part that hit me hard is that I have ADHD. So trying to pay attention to an online class or trying to watch all the videos, like the capsule videos thingies that you get to watch, and then the teacher's like, "Hey, watch this. Now you're done." I'm like, I don't keep track of that shit, so I have no idea how I went this far into university with a pandemic in the middle of that. Here we are, almost graduated. I only have like 1 year left.
Woo woo.
So yeah, like I literally did nothing but play games, talk with my boyfriend and friends, and do the podcast and study on the side because eventually when you're like very close to a deadline, you have to study. Like all the what's the name of it? Like all the alarm bells start sounding in your head. It's like, hey, here is the packet of serotonin you were waiting for and the dopamine you were waiting for. Here, complete your task. Okay, completed your task. Now you're dead for like 3 days. That was my life. Now I'm still in university. Working and starting to work on some research for one of my elective classes that I'm taking this semester. Up until like last week, I was working on developing a web page for a startup company that. So I delivered the MVP and just pissed out. Like, okay, here's your product, here's my money, bye. And yeah, so I'm like doing commission work on the side. So I don't know how I survived that semester. Like I had like the equivalent of 3 jobs now that I think about it because Voyager. But anyway, that's where I was. That's where I am now. This is where I am now. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us are in very different places now.
I live in an actual house.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're literally in a different place. Both of you are literally in a different place. Yeah. God, I know. I just feel so. Yeah,
man.
it's interesting, right? Like, I don't know. And I mean, we talked about this when we announced that we were heading out. Me, I think maybe more than you guys do, but I sort of feel like I've worked a lot on endings a little bit, you know, like I did that for my theater world, and I feel a little bad in theater because I did sort of just cut and run, but it's sort of hard to just like, you know, I was just like, I'm done. But the pandemic helped with that. But I think there's something nice about like ending something before that thing, before it's like, oh, I really should have fucking stopped early. You know what I mean? Like there's that like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, there's that vibe where it's like, I feel like I'm leaving now and like you know, I could do more, but it's like,
And if you'll pardon the pun, leaving the audience wanting more.
yeah, there you go. Leave one more, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want you to be, but hopefully you're not all sick and fucking tired of me. But it's also just like, I think, and especially on a podcast that's about gaming and whatnot, it's funny because I sort of feel like I've actually said a lot about what I think about gaming, and I'm sure I'm gonna change my mind on stuff as I, you know, age and like, you know, I'll grow and things will change and I'll develop. But it's also like, I don't know. It's just like, I think I have said what I want to say, and I'm like, someday perhaps you bring us on as a guest or something if you want, and like we could say more then. But it's like for now, I want to leave the audience with like, here's some new thoughts, a new voice, you know.
I think that's an interesting one in terms of I probably could have gone on for more. I think
Yeah.
it's more just a matter of timing in the sense that like I've already been doing this for, and we said this when we announced that these things were going to go 4 or 5 years. And if there's going to be a change, that is an opportune time to vacate the space, let someone else have a crack at this amazing thing that we've been doing for a few years.
Yeah.
And whether or not I could have done more, I think that's the right thing to do in this situation.
Exactly.
That's definitely where I got it from. And on a slight tangent, I think for me, I'm quite interested to see what this does to the way I engage with the medium, because it's definitely doing this has changed how I play games.
Yeah.
I've always liked shorter experiences, but I think I've definitely made a preferential choice towards those experiences at the expense of longer games.
Yeah.
I mean, I wondered a few times when The Witcher was sort of rumbling on and on and on, would I have finished this in half or a third of the time if I wasn't always angling to have at least something finished on a weekly basis?
Yeah.
And that wasn't always necessarily a challenge because there are forever little games on itch or handhelds or Steam. But there are only so many hours in a day, especially as you get older and you find other things to do and other things to fill your time. And so there is an element of prioritization. And, you know, maybe now I'm not doing this, I might actually go back to the Persona 5 Royal playthrough. Who knows?
Yeah. Honestly though, like
Yeah.
it's a thing. Like, and I was telling Paula this. I mean, this year, I just like literally like 2 days ago, I just finished my 1000th painted model for my like gaming thing that I've done in a year
Damn.
at this point, right? So like that takes up, and I'm fast though. I have to say I'm quite fast, but that takes up a lot of my time, right? It's just different. And like we were mentioning, I am curious to see like what my gaming life's going to be like, because now I sort of feel like there are some games that it's like, sometimes I would pick a game, and I don't think this is a bad thing. I'm glad that I had this experience, but I would pick a game where I'm like, this I think will be interesting to talk about. And I would try a lot of things, and I would drop shit really fast if I was like, I'm just going to be repeating myself if I talk about this for too long. So I need to kind of pick up. And that was part of the issue with some of the longer games, was that it's like, I've sort of said what I need to say about this game. Nothing has drastically changed at this point. And if it's like even Star Wars Jedi Survivor, it's a linear game. And so it's like, I could just tell you what happened in the game. But like my thoughts haven't really shifted much while playing it, right? And so I think I tended to gravitate away from things like that. Whereas picking up something like Sticky Business, for instance, it's like, well, I can talk about that. That's going to be a cool new experience, and I'll probably be done it in like 2 episodes. You know? Again, I don't think this is a bad thing. It's a different way of experiencing the medium of gaming. And I'm going to be really curious to see what happens, because, you know, before we started this, I'd already started doing this with the backlog blog, because I was like, I want to go through all the Game Boy things. But realizing that now, it's like, that was fun for me. And also, it didn't really matter because I'm not on a podcast where I should probably be talking about more than just the Game Boy Advance. You know? Whereas now I feel like I'm like, I could just fucking play Game Boy Advance games if I want. Who gives a shit? Like, I don't have to fucking tell you when I can replay shit. It doesn't matter, you know. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that's massively impacted what we do and how we think. Certainly not from my own perspective, but it will be interesting to see if that holds true when that change kicks in. So.
And then Paula, you gotta keep going.
I gotta keep going. But in my case, like, I don't know, I think I tried to do like hey, let's play some strategy games like in 2021 because holy crap, like on 2020 I completed 33 games. On 2021, I don't know what happened to me. I completed 84 games.
Yeah, you were on a goddamn podcast. That's what happened.
But then in 2022, I got 33 games again. And I'm like slowly creeping towards that 30-something goal. But I'm playing like a lot of stuff. Like I tend to grab and drop stuff and then grab it again like 2 months later. Hey there, Pikachu. But I don't know, like I think one of the things that I like, for example, when I'm talking about visual novels and otome, is that the routes aren't that long. I could potentially do a route like each time, and the beauty of this is that my opinion does change between routes because some may be like very cozy or like this happened and then the other route is like, so I got killed a bunch of times because I don't know, I made the wrong decision or like in the following route, so I fought God. And that was pretty much Cafe Fontaine in a nutshell.
I think I played more games in 2021 than you did in 2021 and 2022 combined.
I think I did too.
And possibly almost all of 2023. My 2021, I played 137 games.
Oh my god.
And I mean, I'm on track to exceed that this time. So last year, 22, I completed 112. In 2023, I've already completed 73 games. And the Playdate is probably going to pump those numbers. Like, let's be real.
Fuck me. Yeah, okay. Because in 20, I played 82 games. In 21, I played 119 games. Yeah. 22, oh, that kind of hurts. I played 99 games in 22. Damn it!
Yeah, that's real.
This year, though, you can already see I've tanked down, man. I played 24 games this year so far.
I would have guessed mid-20s, yeah.
Yeah, this has been I've played some long games this year, though, actually. It is weird. I have actually gone back. What?
Yeah.
And a wedding.
Had a wedding,
I know, right? A wedding.
And that does it.
And then I got a full-time job teaching for the first time, right? And like, and then my hobby really kicked off this year, you know? Like, it's like, because it started at the end of 2022, and then I really kicked into high gear. And so, you know, it's like, yeah, shit just changes, man. That's the way of the world. Things change and it's beautiful.
Changes.
Yeah. Well, shit. And I mean, I guess we should say, speaking of the future and changes, Paula, who's joining you?
So I'm very happy to announce that this time will be 2 podcast hosts this time around, and the one that is accompanying me through this adventure is none other than the silky smooth voiced Avatage.
Yeah!
I, for one, cannot wait.
Yeah, like
I'm excited.
I should probably like do some voice training or something, like to deepen my voice a little bit, because I'm gonna sound so fucking squeaky, like in comparison to his voice.
No, I want to hear a swap over. I want you to take on the 40 a day, but there's been some honey between the smoking and the speaking, and I want him to have the higher pitch, with his accent. I'd love that.
It's going to be so good. Like, I mean, it's nice too, because I'm hoping you guys are going to do some fantasy critic stuff in there as well, because like, I think that was, I really do miss when we had those segments on. I thought that was really, really fun. And I know there was like some different ideas and stuff that I needed about, but I just think it, like, Abatage is the perfect, it's perfect. It's perfect. And like the fact that he was available, and you know, we're only doing 2 hosts this time, but I think honestly, that's kind of be nice, I think. 3 is wonderful, but at the end of the day, conversations they sort of make sense between two folks. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll be interested to see what
Yeah.
changes. Let's put it that way.
yeah. I'm curious to see what you guys are going to do. I'm going to be listening for sure. I'll have you guys on my Spotify. Listen to you.
That's gonna be interesting. You're gonna see like a more talkative Paula because
Yeah.
usually, especially you can see it in this episode when two were talking about the Playdate stuff, and I was like in the background because I had no fucking idea what you're talking about besides like
Nope.
the little cranky device, and I love it.
It's
You
also
could have ordered one.
yeah. Do they even ship to Chile?
I mean, yeah, but who knows where the hell that thing would have arrived.
Would have ended up. Yeah. Well, it's tough too because honestly, I think with the podcast, honestly, most of the time it ended up just being two of us talking, right? Because like that's the most you can handle. It has to be two at a time.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be interesting. I hope you guys will have guests on and stuff too. I mean, with the two of you, facilitating a guest will be so easy. I'm sure you have plans.
Mhm.
I'm excited. It is fun already to be on the other side, a little bit where I'm like, I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know what your plans are. I'm just gonna be here to figure it out and see it. But from what I understand, there's not going to be really much of a wait in between seasons, right? Like you guys are. Is that right, or should I
Yeah,
not?
like we're kind of like planning right now how are we doing stuff, and hopefully we'll record the first episode this weekend.
And
Which, by the
obviously-
way, that's another change that we usually record this well, usually it's a strong word like nowadays because we move like we swap out around like 2 Mondays or Saturdays. We started recording on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's usually like Sunday just after lunch for me because Latin America late lunch is it's a thing.
As a big thing.
It's a big thing. So now we're gonna record like I think it was like 8 p.m. my time, if I remember
So
correctly.
you're the new Rick.
I'm gonna have to double-
yes, it's true.
Yeah, I'm the new Rick, and he's gonna be like in the morning on the next day, so that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not very sleepy because I'm known to pass out during conversations sometimes, like if I'm very tired.
And this will be the interesting thing because I mean, in terms of how we always made this work, there's always been like several hours time zone gap between us. Paula being earliest, Alice being the middle, and myself being the latest. So it'd normally be an evening record.
I'm in the middle,
No,
like Alex
Paula's
is
in the
the
middle, other way
earliest.
around.
Oh,
but-
the other way around. Forgive me.
okay.
But now what's going to happen is Paula's like -4. Abatage is like -10, or the other way around. But there's like a 14-hour gap between the two, which is why the sleepy bit is happening in the middle of the recording, and it will be interesting. I think it's interesting anyway that like modern tech has allowed that to be possible in the way that it
Yeah.
currently is. And there's something magic about people on different continents on the exact other sides of the world
Right?
just having a chat as though they're in the same room.
And I mean, you think about us, we're all three of us on 3 separate continents. We've never fucking met in person. But 3 years of a podcast, right? Like it's just although it is my goal someday I mean, England is the most is the easiest one for me probably, but I
Yeah,
will
same.
be actually, you know what? Yeah, whatever you're saying.
I mean, you're in
Um,
England.
Yeah, though I am moving to a place that might even make it easier to get down to Chile at some point. So you never know. I might go on
Eh.
vacation. It's not that I'm not moving much farther. I'm moving further west, but we'll just say that there's easier flights.
Okay, it is less in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. I'm going to be in a major metropolitan area, so that feels pretty
To the
good.
left of that.
Yeah. But anyway, someday I'm sure it'll happen. You never know.
Chile reunion, let's go.
Yeah.
And obviously, to keep updated on everything that's happening with season 3, you need to do nothing because wherever you're finding us right now, that's where season 3 is going to be.
Damn right. Damn right.
Keeping the same Spotify, the same YouTube, the same everything.
Same everything.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to throw out there on this other than a profound and sincere thank you to everyone who's stuck with us, checked us out at any point during the past 3 years? Obviously, this only happens because people are listening, and it's always been nice, the little discussions and offshoots that have popped off and around this. It's been wonderful to use this as a platform to engage with different members of the community, with the man himself, Everdread, and I am forever humbled by the fact that we got to speak to developers like through this silly little podcast thing we do. Especially Cecile. That was magic to have someone who's like a small but recognized creator, and to be able to like shoot the shit for, because the recording failed, several hours, but like in recorded form a few hours, and to be able to like engage with those ideas with that creator on that level. I don't think I'll ever experience anything quite like that again. Certainly not on that level and in that way. All of which is to say thank you very much, everybody. I hope in a way that you guys haven't got anything else to add, because otherwise that's going to be a little bit anticlimactic. But if you do, this is the time.
And just gonna say thank you for listening to us three just talking about video games and chilling, and sometimes just trying to shade up each other because we like, I don't know, because someone doesn't like the building mechanic on Tears of the Kingdom, cough cough.
You know what? Funny enough, I'm actually curious to see if going back to it without the podcast, if I'll enjoy the game more. I think having to analyze and think about it is what made that. I think that game has to be a vibe game, because I think when you think about it too much, it's not good. I hope I like it. I hope I can report back at some point and say that I had fun.
I hope to.
With that beef successfully buried,
yes,
both of you.
I do want to say thank you as well to you two. Also, this has been very, very, very wonderful, and it's
likewise.
This podcast will hold a special place for me. So, thanks everybody, and maybe we should do the last round
of
everyone's favorite.
How long to beat the game? I don't know. I thought you were going to say how long to beat the game. You didn't do it.
Oh, I thought we were doing the thing where we all just did the tune in our heads.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't.
I was like, I've got to start the tune in my head again. And then you're like, we did the game, and now the tune's not happening in my head. It's all falling apart.
By the way, here comes the tune. How long to beat the game? Oh, shit. You want to do it together? This is why it's all over. It's falling apart, everybody.
Oh dear, Alex, just tell us what the game is this time.
Yes, I will tell you what the game is. I'm gonna do the game on my phone this time, because I feel like half the time I do it on my computer, it just goes to shite. All right, so the game this week is none other than interesting, Tropico 4.
Oh,
Tropico.
Okay,
that's actually Tropico
with an
Tropico.
O. With an O.
Yeah, and it's numero 4, which is the newest.
It's a recent one. I think so.
No, definitely not. No, that's 2011. Tropico 6 might be the newest one. Yeah,
maybe.
This is definitely not the newest one. Okay. I thought it was, but sure ain't. So obviously the normal times and whatnot. How much have you looked up on this so far?
Oh, I know exactly about this
just
game.
Just a year.
Central premise.
You haven't seen the platforms or anything?
No.
I
want you to tell me what platforms is this game on. So don't look up the platforms.
How many are there?
Okay.
Oh, should I say how many there are?
Please.
You know what? Actually, I think it's interesting to say how many, because there are 2 platforms that this game is on.
Ooh.
Just 2.
There's only 2 platforms. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. But I will read what this game is. The world is changing and Tropico is moving with the times. Geographical powers rise and fall, and the world market is dominated by new players with new demands and offers. And you, as El Presidente, face a whole new set of challenges. If you are to triumph over your naysayers, what? You're interrupting my flow.
Is it just the base game, or is the counting DLC?
Bro, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's the base game. They don't usually count the DLC in them, do they?
Oh, okay.
No, they don't. The DLC is a whole other separate thing. There's like a whole bunch of it, but this is the base game. Yeah. Yeah. It's Tropico. Isn't it an RTS or something like that, or Grand Strategy?
I think Grand Strategy.
It is more like
it's like Dictator Sim.
Yeah, isn't it like a little more like Civ than it is like Age of Empires? Is that sort of the idea? I've never played.
I know exactly enough to know it's not my kind of game, and probably very little beyond that.
Despite having gone through a fever dream of Age of Empires at one point, still can't believe how into that I got. That was good.
That was a moment. My God, you both got massively into it.
That was a game of the month. I played one level, I was like, nah. I got good enough to, still get crushed by Paula's boyfriend, but did okay.
Oh yeah, we had like a whole siege unit double entendre thing. That was the thing.
Dude, that game was great.
We should have recorded that.
Yeah, that was before we record. We only ever did one recording, and the sad part is that I only figured out how to do the proper recording after we did one recording.
Afterwards, yeah.
I would love to come back someday. I would definitely do a game again. That was so much fun though, bro. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And that was the perfect way to play Shredder's Revenge as well. Like that game is made for that kind of co-op.
Yeah. I've got Rick's times, just waiting for Paula's.
My times are all in, yeah.
We got another beefy episode this week. Sorry, Rick.
We have.
But that would be fair that the season finale be a beefy boy.
Could have not been on my edit, though.
True. I love that my edit was a few weeks ago. It was the shortest one we did.
I feel like you've always managed to get the long straw and that stuff.
That's true,
You've always been so damning. The weeks where it's like a new game plus, it always happens to be. Or it felt like that way anyway.
Did it? Oh yeah, no. I didn't actually edit many new game pluses, to be honest. To be fair, I had to master every episode, so
that's also true.
Yeah.
That is also true.
That's I think I earned a couple shortens.
It's probably the bias, every time you have to edit a long one.
Yeah, that's what you feel, right? Because that's how I'd feel too. I was like, I got a big one. There's a bunch of shit I have to cut out, and I'm like, right? Because you only know the ones you edited, right? That's that's all. Very true. That's the reality. All right, Paula, come on, you got this. We've been doing some really good banter here.
Okay.
But we only
I'm trying to remember which consoles were out on that time, but I think I got it.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's on a console? Interesting.
I mean, I have a reason to
I'm just saying that to fuck with you.
Okay.
Let's see here. Oh, you two are boring. You guess the exact same thing. All right. Okay. So, all right. Let's start with Paula here. So Paula said for the main time, Paula said 40 hours. And Richolas said 21 hours.
Yeah, I think I've undershot that one.
Yeah, you really undershot that one. So the time is actually 39 and a half hours.
Okay.
So that's going to go to Paula.
Oh my God.
Paula.
Let's see here. The next one here, we've got for main plus, Rick has said 62 hours and Paula has said 70 hours. And Rick, you were closer this time because it's 61 hours.
Oosh.
So that'll put you up there. Let's see. Rick, you said for 100%, you said 100 hours. Paula, you also said 100 hours. So, yeah, you both get that.
1 point each. So that puts... Oh, sorry, I'm going to stop trying to tweet there.
Now, you're both really fucking boring, and you said the exact same goddamn thing. So I want a tiebreaker here, because this shit is the exact same.
And it's before we tell people what exact same was, this matters, because if I get this bonus point, I win.
True,
if I don't,
then
Alex wins.
Then I win. Oh, yeah. Ooh, it doesn't matter. So I like to... Yeah, because we did a bonus one last week, but then we got the same one anyway. So chances are I'm going to give you one and you're going to get the fucking same one again. So we'll see.
But so that means that platforms for this game, were we both right?
You were both right. It was PC and Xbox 360. Which was... I should have told you that there was only two. I should have...
Yeah, you gave the game away there. Yeah. So it was like, wait, it's not going to be Switch. You're asking because it's an obscure one, like it's probably 360.
Yeah. This is fun. I have a good one here. I want you to tell me how many DLC are pulled on How Long to Beat for this game. How many DLC? Not how many DLC does this game have. How many have been pulled on How Long to Beat?
Fuck if I know.
That's all. Just how many? This is for all the marbles. I'm excited.
It all comes down to this.
Yeah, it does.
And when you say how many DLCs have been polled, do you mean how many DLCs people submitted times for?
Yeah. Like not like how many people have submitted, just how many DLC.
Got you. Okay. My
Okay.
answer is in.
There it is. I'm probably wrong, but there it is.
Okay, Paula, you said 7. Rick, you said 10. For this one, there are 11 DLC on How Long to Beat.
Oh my God.
Congratulations, Rick. You are the winner for the final round.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank my family.
By 1
I'd like to
point.
thank everyone that's supported me. I'd like to thank the haters for fueling me.
Yes, exactly. So the final scores was Rick with 33, me with 32, and Paula with 22. That's a pretty damn close one there. Yeah, there's 11 DLC on this, and they all have just the most generic names in the world: Apocalypse, Megalopolis, Pirate
Say
Heaven,
that 5 times.
Plantador, Propaganda, Quick Dry Cement, The Academy, Vigilante,
Quick Dry
Voodoo,
what?
Junta Military, and Modern Times. Those were all. I think they're all except Modern Times. I think were submitted by the same person because there's one
that's
for all
amusing.
except for Modern Times, which
Quick
must be the
Dry Cement.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
The new cement factory accelerates all construction on the island. The constructor trait gives your construction workers a skill boost, and the engineer helmet makes El Presidente look like a real pro. That is the biggest joke of a DLC submission.
Right.
And I mean, that's amusing because 10 of the 11 basically look like that.
Yeah.
That is funny. Okay.
I know.
What's also funny is that win mattered way more to me than it had any right to.
I told you.
I'll be honest.
The stakes were really high, even though they weren't
were.
high at all. I don't even know what you get. I don't know. You get bragging rights. You finish season 2 out as the winner.
It's going on my CV, just so you're aware.
Right there. Put that on that CV. Hey, look,
Unique.
my fantasy
No
critic
one
win
else
is
has
on
got
my
that.
CV, so it's there. It shows that I'm good at speculation. Well, everybody.
On that note.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Get ready for the next episode where you'll hear another sexy, smooth voice. But as for myself, this is it. Goodbye.
It's been a blast. Peace.
Bye-bye.